Welcome back to Straight Facts on Sunday. Man like Don is here with me. Giuseppe is in the house. Lots to talk about on tonight's show after, pre-season now pretty much coming to an end. We've got some big transfer stories, some big claims directly from Arsenal Football Club as well about their title ambitions. Loads to go into. Gentlemen, how are you both this evening? You well?
Yeah, man, I'm all good. Went up to Kent to see family, just not long got back. So, yeah, the weather's still nice. So I can't complain.
Yeah, man, I'm good. Just finished having a roast, just enjoying the rest of the Sunday now, man.
I could eat a roast right now, actually. I could eat a proper
slapped.
Yeah, do you know what? Sunday roast is the one. I feel exhausted. These US tour games over the last 2 weeks have been killing me, getting up at 1, 3, streaming sort of 5 in the morning, going back to bed. So I'm kind of happy now. Like a lot of those things are coming to an end. It's going to be nice.
We're the only club that's still left there from England.
Yeah. United have gone home. Yeah, you've got one more game there against Real Madrid on like Wednesday or something.
Yeah,
I think Arsenal's got one more.
I can't wait to get out of there, Terry. Them pitches are just those pitches are just so bad, man. Honestly, like. If they carry on, obviously it's going to be a money thing, innit? Like the clubs are not, they're not going to turn down a US tour, but they need to prepare it better, man. Like the pitches are just shit. It's so bad.
Yeah. Arsenal are back now as well. We've got 2 pre-season games left. I'm going on Wednesday. We're playing Leverkusen at the Emirates. But yeah, them US games are horrible. Thing is, especially when you wake up and your team does. Like Terry, you must last night must have been a bit.
Yeah, do you know what it is? Do you know what it is for me? I do watch it more for performance than result with where we are. But if I wasn't doing match reactions, I'd probably turn it off after 60 minutes. I think most preseason games after 60 minutes are a write-off because both sides because there is no football match in sanctioned European football where you're going to see between 15 and 22 substitutes made in the space of 10 minutes. It changes the game to a point where it isn't football anymore because that doesn't happen. So I don't really assess it after that. But I did want to start off with Chelsea actually because it wasn't a great result last night. Again, lots of mistakes at the back, 4 more goals conceded. What was your take on that performance from Chelsea and another fairly heavy defeat?
Weird lineup, bro. Meaty lineup, I didn't really know what to expect of the lineup, Terry, when I saw it beforehand, because I was like, where's Mudryk going to play? Where's Enzo going to play? Where's this guy going to play? Is Dewsbury Hall on the left? I couldn't really work it out because there's all these names, but then in terms of the positions, it was hard to kind of see where they were going to play. But listen, it's pre-season. Like I've said, pre-season is all about trial and error. Maresca tried something different yesterday. It didn't work. The individual mistakes were shocking. At the beginning, we were struggling to build up from the back. Tosin had a poor, very, very bad game yesterday, but he had to come off. He was so poor. And Levi Colwill just in those wide areas, Terry, spooky sight, bro. Spooky sight, man. I really don't like Levi in the wide areas. I think his position for me is central, like down the middle and have a Badia Shaw next to him to cover those wide areas, And yeah, we'll just kind of sloppy in the build-up. But after the first 5-10 minutes, I would say we're keeping the ball, but we weren't really doing much with it. Mudryk was non-existent on the right-hand side. You had Gusto that was playing left back. Nkunku up top. I don't like Nkunku up top because he doesn't get involved in the game. Very similar to when we were playing Palmer as a false 9. He was up there, but he's not getting involved in the game. You want Nkunku to get on the ball. You want him in the half spaces. You want him running at people. You want him popping off shots, making those late runs, crashing into the box. You don't want him out of the game just trying to stretch the pitch like Mark Gill, because Mark Gill is a better profile in doing that. So overall, I looked at the balance of the team, and it wasn't a surprise that we performed like that. You know what I'm trying to say? We weren't really creating much. There was only one clear-cut chance we created through Enzo, and he was even playing in between the lines, which I don't like. Enzo isn't a dynamic, agile player like a Lavia, for example. Lavia is very press-resistant on the ball. Nkunku and Palmer, they're ball carriers in that position as well. Whereas Enzo, for me, his best position is in that first phase. But at the minute, bro, Lavia's not getting shifted from there. Lavia's been our best player. So if Enzo's got to start on the bench, so be it. You know what I mean? But when he made the changes in the second half, when he brought in Sterling, he brought in Madueke, we looked a lot better, bro. It was good. Madueke was taking on his man. He was finally using his right foot, Terry. He got an assist using his right foot as well. Sterling scored a very good goal. Sterling was very threatening as well on that left-hand side, which was good. And then Madueke, the composure for the goal as well was very good, where Lavia just won it back in midfield, played it through to him. He ended up scoring. So overall, listen, that lineup didn't work. Again, trial and error. And then when he reverted to what worked against Club America, we looked a lot better. So I expect him not to go with that lineup again. You know, I don't expect to be seeing Gusto left wing and and Mudryk right wing and that again. You know, it's not gonna work. But when I'm seeing people going over the top, I'm like, brother, like he's giving people minutes. Like Caicedo was very, you know, rusty at the beginning of the game. He grew into the game, but at the beginning, you can see this is a guy that just came back. He can probably still taste the fucking enchiladas he's been eating from holiday, bro. You know what I'm trying to say? And he just came back. So I'm not looking at it and losing my shit because I can clearly see there's something he's trying to do, and he tried something yesterday. It didn't work. He spoke about it after. He said, yo, we tried something different. We move, innit, you know? So, yeah, man, it's all about learning. But overall, you know, I don't think it was the worst performance. I just think it was people just not concentrating in key parts of the game.
Don, do you first of all, do you agree with your twin, Ches, that he said that you were the better team yesterday?
I think we created the better chances, and the stats back that up as well. We created more clear-cut chances than Man City. Man City were more clinical than us. That, if you want to put it as that, because we literally gifted them all those goals. You know, Oscar Bob. I know Oscar Bob's his goal was actually quite good, to be fair. Other than that, bro, we literally gifted them most of their goals. You know,
yeah.
So
I think with Chelsea, I think first of all, you're on fraud watch still, Don. From that comment time ago that Mudryk is better than Martinelli, bro.
I never said Mudryk's better than Martinelli.
Yeah.
I said he's got more to his game than Martinelli. That's what I said.
Mudryk, I'm not gonna lie. I'm done. I'm done. Yeah.
It's not the same.
I'm done with like Mudryk is crap, bro. I cannot see a world in which this guy turns anything around. I think he's crap. I think Chelsea yesterday, I was watching it on and off, like because I was doing other stuff and I had it on the side. I think Chelsea look all right in parts. I think, was this the game for Maresca to try this sort of stuff? I don't think so, purely because they're your first game of the season. I think he should have tried.
Yeah, but look at their lineup, bro. Look at their lineup, Giuseppe.
Yeah, but I still kind of like you should have tried maybe a system thing of what you would maybe try like in the league, but maybe he looks at that. But regardless of that, I feel like Chelsea have this problem where I feel like, I know this might sound to say, but like I feel like you got too many players sometimes, bro. You got too many players that its manager comes in now and he's just like, who do what, where? Do you get what I mean? Like the midfield, the amount of midfielders you have, yeah. It kind of sometimes makes it a bit harder for a new manager to sort of pinpoint a great, like their best team and make everyone happy and sort of thing, including wanting to sign his own players and add them to this, you know, because he signed Dewsbury Hall now, great signing, but it now looks like he's trying to see where other people can play to fit him in the team because he's got too many players. Like, as you said, Enzo might have to start on the bench because Lavia has probably been your best player pre-season. I'd argue probably looked the best. Caicedo yesterday didn't look great. I thought he looked a bit, but that's
first game back though, isn't it? That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. First game back. So it's hard with Chelsea, man. Man City, that's the first game they've won pre-season as well. Not that means anything, but I just think with Chelsea that like Chelsea fans just need to bring their expectations of the season down a little bit. I think that's all it is because like this guy's a new manager in the league, never ever refereed, never managed in the Premier League. Like it's a new.
the thing is, Giuseppe, I hear what you're saying, but for me, the main thing is with one thing that I've realized about with Maresca is quite proactive. Because even yesterday, yeah, Levi Colwill was struggling with the wide areas. He recognized that straight away and he brought Badiashile on, took off Tosin, who was stinking out of the place, and played Levi more centrally. And you could see straight away he's a lot more comfortable. You know, when he's looking at the game, he's looking at the pitch, he could just ping in those passes. You know, he's very good on the ball in terms of just the passes, innit? But when he goes into tackles one-on-one, bro, I don't know what it is about him, yeah? It's like he doesn't like to touch them. He doesn't want to get a little bit of sweat on him or something. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's weird, bro. You know, Oscar Bob was just doing him up on that side. Gusto looked drunk yesterday, you know.
Cucurella's effed you guys up as well, right? Yeah, you know Cucurella, that song that he done.
Oh,
yeah,
he likes the thriller.
Every time now that you play Man City, Haaland's gonna want to bang goals against you.
Oh yeah, of course.
You don't need to give a guy like that. Sometimes this is what players don't get. I feel like sometimes I know it's only a bit of banter and all that, but when there's a guy that good and stuff, the one thing you don't want to do is provoke that player to want to score.
What's that song got to do with Haaland? Am I missing something?
In that song that he sung, the Spanish song he sung when he won the Euros, he actually sings in the song. There's the bit where he's like Haaland's trembling.
Yeah, Haaland's trembling. It's a
Oh,
bit of like it's just like they're just talking in
It's banter. It's banter, of course.
Banter,
It is. It is. But do you remember when Aubameyang did the whole like I'm back? It's not. It's just business. Ain't personal.
yeah.
As soon as he did that, I was like, he's gonna drop a stinker in the North London derby, isn't he? Like you sometimes put a bit of target on your back.
I don't know why I don't know why he listed Haaland.
You mentioned Colwill a little bit earlier on today. When you were talking, Don, I saw this tweet and I thought of you and I was like, I'm going to shout to Don on the show today and see what he's saying. This guy here says, I'm going to say it because no one else will. Levi Colwill is overrated. I don't know why people think he is a guaranteed starter. He gets skinned every game. He is lackadaisical on the ball and he's not physically imposing in duels. He struggles in wide areas. He needs a lot of work.
Yeah, bro, listen, he's spitting a lot of facts, man. He's spitting a lot of facts because there is a lot of people in the fan base who talk about him as if he hasn't got any weaknesses. They forget that he's still young. You know, I spoke about him a lot last year, mainly speaking about Poch playing him at left back. You know, when he played at centre back, if you remember the game against Man City away, him and Disasi, bro, they played at centre back and they were very good. Remember the first game when he played Carabao Cup against Brighton at centre back, he played very well there. But at the same time, bro, he has got his weaknesses. One-on-one, like I said, I'm not really comfortable with him there. I actually prefer Badiashile over Colwill for me. I know Badiashile didn't look great last year, but honestly, when Badiashile first came Chelsea, the same way people talk about Gusto and Palmer was the same way people were speaking about Badiashile. Universally within the fan base, everyone liked him. Last year, he looked like a car wreck, similar to Enzo in certain games. So listen, he's got a lot of learning to do in it. But for me, I want to see him more centrally. I don't want to see him as the one that's covering the wide areas because I don't think he can do it as good as others in the team, man.
But if you're inverting your fullbacks, he's going to have to. He might be the one who stays central, but yeah, exactly. I think Badiashile was more comfortable doing that. I think Vega's more comfortable doing that. I think Cucurella's more comfortable doing that. Levi in the wide areas, bro. Like I said, he doesn't like to get aggressive. He's very, what's the word? He's very heavy. He's quite heavy-footed at times, Terry. You know, it takes him about 3 seconds to turn his body. You know, if you've got a nippy winger on that side, like a Neto, for example, he's just going past him, bro. You know what I'm saying? He's honestly just going to go past it.
Don, do you not think that Colwill's living off that Brighton season now? Just that's what he's living off at Chelsea. If you'd brought Colwill up from the other ranks, or he didn't come from a team where he had a really good season, do you think people would have said, "Nah, this guy ain't good enough, man. This he's not like good enough to be starting in our team." And that, why do we still have this guy? Sell this guy? Do you think it's because he had that really good season at Brighton, and people are just living off that, like, oh, he's that guy. He was so good that season, and that. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, when you got him back,
he's a good player. He's a good player.
Like, he's a decent player. But I'm yet to really see that good player at Chelsea. I'm being honest, like, and I'm not talking because
I agree.
Not a one-off game don't matter to me because do you know what it is? Where I watch like someone like William Saliba and these guys, and like I'm gonna be real. Even someone like Takahiro Tomiyasu for Arsenal, he ain't the greatest, but you put him left back, right back, centre back, the guy does a job, and he might get skinned occasionally, but more or less he's decent. More or less, I think Colwill looks bad. And I don't know if that's maybe because you haven't got a structured team and that maybe that don't help him. But I feel like I don't know if you think that it's just like he's living off of past things and that's why people really want him to succeed in that.
Yeah, I mean,
why he gets so much of a chance because I feel
you're
right, right? In my opinion. My opinion is that guy you want to sell, what's his name? Chalobah's better than him.
But Chalobah's a right centre back though. This is the thing. Levi plays on the left, so Chalobah wouldn't start at left centre back because he doesn't offer us that balance with his left foot. He's not really both footed like a Gueye, for example. You know. But listen, look, he had a good loan at Brighton. If you remember that tournament that he had just before he came back to Chelsea, yeah, everyone was raving on about this guy. Klopp wanted this guy for a reason, so he's a good player. I'm not gonna rub him out. He's a good player, but he's got his weaknesses that we need to try and minimize. And for me, you're only going to do that by playing him centrally. Otherwise, you're going to see him getting skinned weekly, bro.
I think what's also not helped him is that Chelsea in the last year overall have been a disaster. And I speak from experience. When you've got young players that need developing, but they're at a club and in a team where it's an absolute mess, the development isn't good. It's up and down because in every walk of life, young people need consistency and a good sort of culture around them to progress. Now, you can be a really good student, but if you go to a bad school, there's only so far you can go with it because lessons are disrupted, you get distracted, teachers get distracted, whatever it may be. He needs a better environment, and that's why it's so important over the next 12 to 18 months for Chelsea to really turn their fortunes around, create a better environment, win more, take some of the pressure off these players. And I think then you'll see Colwill be able to live up to his levels. However, we've also seen young centre-backs before look brilliant for a year or two when they're young and then not progress. I remember we bought Chris Smalling, who wasn't an academy player, so there was a bit more rawness there. He looked brilliant at Fulham. We bought him. He looked good. Just he got better, but he never got to that level that everybody expected. And that just happens with young players sometimes. They just don't progress. They just don't move forward. But yeah, I mean, overrated. Listen, I understand. Listen, you had players like Jurgen Klopp chasing him for big money. So I'm not necessarily sure I'd call it overrated. I just don't think he has progressed. I just don't think he's progressed.
Yeah,
he's
stagnated a bit. He's stagnated a bit. That's what it is.
And again, Tell, you say that about Klopp, but I learned yesterday from Tom Little, that apparently Klopp's really bad at identifying talent.
Yeah, but that's being disingenuous.
Or was that him mucking about? Was that him mucking about? Or was it serious?
Bro, this Tom guy now wants to revisit the fact that Klopp wanted Lavia, and apparently Liverpool didn't want Lavia and whatnot. And Lavia is a bad player now all of a sudden because he's at Chelsea. That's what happens, you know. Every time players come to Chelsea, they become bad players. They're shit all of a sudden, and you know that's what happens, bro.
No, I hear you. What do you make of the Osimhen links? When I say, do you know what's mad? Every time I say his name, people tell me I say it wrong. If I say Osimhen, I'm told it's wrong. If I say Osimhen, they say it's wrong. I might just start saying Victor, bruv. Man like Victor. At least Victor. I've even had two separate friends of mine that are both from Nigeria. They're born in England, but from Nigerian background. One says Osimhen, the other one says Osimhen. And I'm like, David says it different from Dio. Again, both from Nigerian descent. Anyway, man like Victor, do you want Chelsea to push for him? Because I saw today again on I'm going to listen to it later. But Simon Phillips talking about Osimhen is the board's dream signing. Nico Williams is on the radar, but all eyes are on Osimhen. Still a possibility of Amarodian if Gallagher goes the other way, but there's a lot of talk that Victor Osimhen's going to be the guy. Like, what's your view, bruv?
Bro, listen. I'll take him for the right price. I've been consistent with my take about Gil and Jackson. I said, listen, for me, if we're gonna bring in a striker, don't bring in Amarodian. I don't want someone else who right now I don't think is ready. And then it's all about potential with them. You know, if you're gonna bring me a striker, bring me someone with a little bit more experience. Bring me someone that's a little bit more guaranteed.
Yeah.
You know, again, Osimhen's another one that's got a lot of weaknesses, but at the same time, he's got a lot of strengths he can bring to the team. His aerial duels, you know, in terms of how he presses. His link-up play is actually not as bad as what people think. He's actually quite decent with his link-up play as well. And in front of goal, he might not be the most clinical, but if you keep creating for him, Chelsea create a lot of chances. He's going to bag some of them. You know what I'm trying to say? So, and he's a bit of a bastard up top, you know? So, listen, I'm taking him. I'm taking him all day, innit? I'm just not trying to pay over 100 M's. Like, if we can get a deal done, because we've got Lukaku that can go the other way, all day long, bring him in. All day long, bring him in, man.
Yeah. Listen, it's crazy because I actually see the other day there was them, like, all of a sudden, like, hard links for him to Arsenal again. Apparently, Arsenal were looking at getting strong thing, and I'm like you, man. I'm just unsure. There's this gut thing about me that I ain't sure about him, bro.
What is it you're not sure about?
I don't know if he's gonna transition well into the Premier League, bro. Like I feel like he could be
the traits.
I feel like there's something in me that thinks that he could flop in the Premier League. And I'm not even saying it like maybe the Premier League. He can flop if he moves. Like, I don't know if we've been ginnelsed of how good he is.
Do you know what I mean? The main thing that people focus on with him is the fact that, you know, on the ball, he's not the prettiest on the ball. You know what I'm trying to say? He's a little bit clunky at times and that, but he's not the worst, man. I've seen worse than him on the ball, man. You know, I look at Omarodian sometimes on the ball. Jesus Christ. You know what I'm trying to say? And Osimhen, bro, he's got a heavy touch at times. Don't get it twisted. He does. But I feel like people overdo it. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't even watch him like that, really, to really comment. They just kind of they hear what they hear on Twitter and then they start running with it as well. And I'm like, bro, when you actually watch this guy, his link-up play, honestly, is not that bad, bro. It's not that bad. He does a lot of flicks and tricks around the corner. He's actually quite decent at it. So listen, 50, 60 million, if we can try to bring him in, send Lukaku the other way, Bring him, bruv. Bring him.
Yeah, it's funny because as I said, when I see the links with Arsenal the other day that just came out of the blue, like we're heavily in for Osimhen again, and we're talking to Napoli, I was like, I don't know, like there's some reason I'd rather Gyorekes, but that's me personally. Like
Gyorekes is more technical, I'd say. He's more technical than Osimhen. But Osimhen would be Osimhen. You know what it is about Osimhen, yeah, Giuseppe? Why I kind of obviously I'm more for it, right? Is because he's a pest, bro. He's a pest, bro. And in the box, bro, the guy finds space where there's no space for a big lad. Yeah, sometimes the ball just comes in. He's just putting his leg there. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, aerially, bro, very good in the air as well.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great signing for Chelsea. Even Arsenal, I would not complain at all if we sign.
It'll be a brilliant signing. If you sign Osimhen, if you sign Osimhen right now as it is, I'd probably say Arsenal would be favourites if you sign Osimhen. I'll be real.
Yeah, apparently his high press is really good and stuff. And that, like, I don't know, innit? With him, he's a tough one, man. He's a tough one. You know, when like sometimes this is why social media ruins stuff now with certain players. Definitely someone like Osimhen, who's been in and around the social media thing for a good few seasons now. You start losing track of what he is and what he ain't, sort of thing, if that makes sense. You hear so many different opinions and stuff. I know you make your own opinions, you make your own thing, but when you don't watch him a lot and that you hear all the negatives and this, that, and it end up becoming overhyped or underhyped, and you kind of lose track of where he actually is.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, Giuseppe. That's why you've actually got to watch the player yourself. Like, from what people were saying about, for example, like Jorgensen, the new keeper that we've signed, from what I was seeing on Twitter, you would think this is the worst keeper in the world. So I was like, okay, let me go back, because when we was linked initially, I watched his games, right? And I watched him again after, when the links were getting stronger. And I'm like, bro, this keeper's actually not that bad. He's actually not that bad. He's not as bad as what people try and make it out on Twitter. And people do the exact same thing with Osimhen. They do the exact same thing with him as well, bro. Yeah.
I feel like it's one of them where it's because everyone kind of would like him. And then
the Osimhen thing for me, sorry, but I have to go. It's Sunday. I needed a glass of red wine. So cheers, boys.
I hear it.
But for me, I agree. I think people's minds have been tainted by Osimhen to a point where people are a little bit nervous for their club to sign him in case the bad things people have said come to fruition, in case they come true, in case he's not as good as they hope that he is. It's weird because 18 months, 2 years ago, everybody wanted him. I'm talking fans here. Forget clubs for a moment. Fans were like, I want him, I want him, I want him, I want him. And then he doesn't have as hot a year, and suddenly, oh, actually, I think he's a really bad player. So it leads me to think, well, did you rate him in the first place or not? You have to look at his scenario last year. Their manager left. He wanted to go. There were kind of problems at the football club. And we all do this. Whenever it's someone we like, and Man United fans do this, we've done it to our own players. Because they loved Anthony Martial, by the way, I rated him. Everything that didn't work out, we run poorly, bad coaches, bad style of play. We bought poor players around him. That's why he didn't get to his full potential. Some of those same people have zero of their energy for Marcus Rashford. And for me, if you're going to apply it to one player in the same environment, you've got to use that logic when you're looking at multiple players at multiple clubs. You can't ignore their surroundings. Like I said with Levi Colwill earlier, I get the criticism of him, but you can't ignore Chelsea's environment. If, for instance, Chelsea were performing in the last 18 months as at their highest level, optimum level, and Colwill wasn't progressing, then I would probably agree far more with that comment that he's being overrated. But I've got to respect the situation and circumstance. And I do think if Chelsea end up signing Osimhen, genuinely, at the moment, you're not in my top four. At the moment, I haven't put you in my top four as of yet, but I've not really done it. If you sign him, I think you're going to be there or thereabouts, because I think a player like him is going to bag you 20, 25 league goals. And when you have a goal scorer that's that predatory, with a team that I know you haven't been good defensively so far, and I do think you're going to lose a few games this year, playing out from the back, getting caught in possession and losing. That's going to happen. But I also think you're going to win a lot of games where you don't make those mistakes. and you kill teams off with a player like Victor Osimhen, you're going to be the cutbacks, the amount of times that ball's going to get played into the box. And I do think with the likes of Nkunku and Palmer dropping deeper, feeding someone like him, it is dangerous because you're right. Nkunku is not a number 9, but what he certainly is a very good footballer, which leads us very well into our title sponsor tonight in StocksFC. I actually bought a lot of stocks in Christopher Nkunku. I'm not going to lie, a lot of stocks in him, about 240 stocks I bought in him because I think he's going to do very, very well. It was available at a very good price. It was available very well, but you can go and claim your free stocks today. Plus tomorrow's not the 6th. On the 6th, they're announcing probably the 2 biggest names ever coming onto the platform. And all I'm going to say is that you are going to make money off of their returns, people. So get yourself signed up to a StocksFC account today and let's see if your football knowledge is as good as you really think it is.
Just on that, Terry, do you think Nkunku's a killer in front of goal?
Define killer? Like, so give me your.
Do you think it's clinical? You think it's clinical? Do you think he's going to score more goals than miss?
I think he's good. Well, no one ever does. So Ronaldo's conversion rate at his peak was 17%. But what is something's under my desk? Oh my God, it's my daughter. My daughter's been hiding in my office. Oh my God, something touched my feet. And it wasn't. Oh my God, Freya. Oh my God, I didn't know she was in here.
Hey, how can she look back at the camera like that? She was so proud of herself as well.
Oh my God. I was sitting here and then something started touching me. I felt a finger started touching my toe. Oh my God. Freya.
Hey, that was fucking hilarious.
At first, I thought, my dog came in. I went, no, that's a finger. That's my dog hasn't got fingers. Oh my God.
Oh my God, there's something under my desk.
It's the way she looked back at the camera, bro, and it just waddled off.
Oh my word. Legit. Oh, Fraz just got me. But yeah, where the hell was I?
Do you think he's a good finisher then? Do you think he's a good finisher?
Yeah, look, I think he's a player, and I don't like having to throw out the caveat if he stays fit, but people hold you to that level now. I think he could score all competitions. He can be a 20-goal a season striker for you, attacker, plus chip in with 10 to 20 assists. I think he could get 40 GA in a season in all comps. If he's fit, I think
Tom Little was a bad finisher, according to Tom.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, again, I would always throw it back at someone and say, well, define what you mean. So if you're comparing him to Cristiano or Haaland, yeah, you could say he's poor in comparison. But do I think if you put him through one-on-one 30 times this season, he'll bang 15, 16 goals, which is a good turnaround. And I think he's a good player. I think he's someone that will generate him and Palmer, unless you sign Osimhen comes in, he'd be a top goal scorer. Him and Palmer, that's 60 to 70 plus GA if they're both fit all season, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're definitely putting up numbers for us, you know. And that's why when you talk about last season, for me, I kept saying, Terry, we've still got more than enough to go and win more games than what we did. But at the same time, if you had a person like an Nkunku, for example, there's a lot of games I can think of where he's not missing the same chances that Jackson's missing. Like remember in the semi-final when Jackson literally went around the keeper, instead of taking it on his left, he tried to, I don't even know what he did, bro. You know, and Nkunku's just gonna bury that. You know what I'm saying? So, bro, we need him to stay fit because he's definitely a key player. Definitely a key player. Just like Lavia, he's gonna be a key player for us.
Yeah. I'm not sure if Chelsea get him though, to be fair. I'm not sure if Chelsea get him. I don't know. What would you think? Would you say that he'd be better for Arsenal than Gyorekes?
No. Yeah, he could be. No, I'm not going to make a definitive answer on that. I'm going to maybe sit on the fence a bit. He could be better than Victor, the other Victor, Gyorekes. Yeah. But the player that I think you should both be breaking the bank for is Julian Alvarez. I think he's better overall. And I know people don't like this. It doesn't guarantee it. But there is less risk of Alvarez failing in the Premier League because he's been here and done it. It shouldn't be the only thing you base buying players on. But for me, you guys should be breaking the bank. You should be saying, look, there's 80 million. Boom, City. What are you saying now? I think he's amazing.
The thing for me, I rate Alvarez. And listen, if Chelsea was to go in for him, I'll take him, innit? But ideally, I want to profile like an Osimhen. I want a big guy up there, someone that can shrug people out of the way, someone that's good aerially,
I hear.
someone that's good at holding up the ball like that.
Yeah.
That's the sort of profile I want, because we don't really have that right now, you know. Apart from Mark Gill, obviously, we haven't really got that.
Is it so? Is it pronounced Gill?
Yes, it's Mark Gill. Yeah.
So everyone that was calling him Gill and Eel and he had Gooey. What was the other one? It's Gill.
It's
Like
literally Mark Gill. Yeah, all them Spanish commentators were saying it. He done a video when he signed. He said it's Mark Gill. Yes, pronounced Gill.
That's a lot bloody easier than some of the. I mean, I was hearing 100 different variations. I was hearing some people saying it's G silent. It's pronounced like Ewell.
No,
I was like, that's just gill, like a fish gill. Oh, man, that's so easy. There we go. Yeah. There we go. But yeah, listen, I think all three are good. I believe I look at it and I think all of them are excellent. I'd take all three at Man United.
Yeah.
I would genuinely. I think all three are excellent strikers, different profiles. So I respect what Don's saying, that he wants somebody who's a little bit more physically imposing, and I kind of get that. I just think if either of your clubs sign any one of those three strikers, your attack is going up a level. In my humble opinion, I think it's going up a level.
I just think we can't get Alvarez. Like, I've completely eradicated him from my mind of thought, because I just can't imagine Man City, after the 2 seasons that have just happened, them giving us Alvarez. Because if we then win the league and Alvarez gets 20 plus goals for us in the season, surely then their board's gonna look at it like, why the hell did you give them this guy? And now they've beat us to the league. That's what I just don't think. I guess money talks, and if you pay the high fees for him, then maybe they'll just say, you know what, they might have the arrogance to say we can beat him anyway, even with him. But I just don't see them selling him to us.
Do you know what's really funny? I got a lot of crap from City fans about a year ago. There was a news article, and I've got to try and dig it out, where it basically stated that City would never again sell Arsenal a player. And I did a video title, of course, taking the mick out of this. And the title of the video was just Man City confirm they're scared of Arsenal, something along those lines, right? And I remember being told by everyone, there's no such policy. They would sell to Arsenal again. We don't see them as a threat. This is a made-up story. That's probably where part of me, there's a slight bias in me that wants to see Arsenal slap 80 million down to see whether or not that policy really exists or not. Because if they won't sell you a player, that's because they see you as a threat. And they wouldn't, and this is my message to everyone that shits on Arsenal when I still think they're a really good team right now. If City see you as a threat, you must be a good team. I get why they wouldn't sell to Man United, but right now, if the money was there and the player was happy to do it, they'd sell him to Spurs. They'd sell him to West Ham. They'd sell him to Villa. They'd sell him to Newcastle, because I don't think they see him as a threat. They're not going to say, I do agree with you. They probably would say no, but Arsenal got to have something up their sleeve. And I say that because Chelsea's sort of in the nose, have said, again, as we saw on the screen earlier, that Nico Williams is on the radar, but unlikely. There's a number of Arsenal accounts that have sort of spoke about how you're kind of monitoring the Nico Williams situation. He's on your list. He's a high priority. There was a big in the know the other day that a lot of Gooners tell me is fairly credible, that stated something along the lines of, you've contacted his camp again to see the situation. You've got Gyorekes, where there's been no move for him. But I mean, Arsenal have got to do something soon, would you not think, in that attacking area? It looks like Mikel Moreno is going to come in. It's just, but I'm getting to a point where I'm a little bit confused about what Arsenal are doing. I mean, you've also rejected 27 million for Eddie Nketiah. You're holding out for the right price.
Yeah.
Are you getting frustrated as a Gooner, or is that just part of the process?
For me, it's part of the process. I ain't getting too frustrated yet. I've said I always wait till the end of the transfer window to really give my thoughts on the transfer window. I obviously, the frustrating part from a fan's point of view is like, you just look at Arsenal and say, listen, just go and slap the money down for Nico Williams, get him over the line, or a Pedro Neto, slap the money for an Osimhen or Gyorekes and bring him over the line. And our team becomes phenomenal, in my opinion. You bring in them two, you bring in a winger like Neto or Nico Williams, and then you bring in a striker like Alvarez or Osimhen, or even Gyorekes, then all of a sudden our team is just, I think then we're almost levels with City in the sense of team. Yeah, and it frustrates fans because they're like, why don't they just do that? Like, obviously, it looks like we want to sell players before we buy players. FFP's kind of really scared a lot of teams, I think, like all that financial stuff. But the Eddie Nketiah one, I'm not actually annoyed at. I'm really not. I'm one of them that ain't, because it's one of them damned if you do, damned if you don't for Arsenal fans. With the fans, it's like we moan about our club getting shafted in all these deals, and why did United sell these young players for this amount of money? They're not worth that money. They're not thing. It's because they've always kept the same thing of, if you want our player, you pay that money. Yeah, they don't bend. They don't.
It's self-awareness, Giuseppe, considering Eddie barely got any game time towards the end of the season, well, not even end of the season, more than halfway, considering the fact that you gave him number 14, gave him 100 bags a week, considering the fact that you've trusted this guy, but when he's been available and fit, he hasn't been played, and now you're asking for all this money. Like, naturally, his value has dropped. If you were playing him more last year and he was starting games and that, like towards the second half of the season when you improved, 100%, I'd hear you out. But at the minute, bro, his value was going down every time you're sitting on the bench last season, bro.
I hear it, but I look at it like, we've asked you for a certain amount. You've gone well below that certain amount, so we're not accepting it. Come up.
What's the amount you've asked for?
We've asked for 30 million now.
Yeah,
euros.
But bro, wait, 30 million euros or 30 million pounds?
And that's what I mean. They've offered like 27. Now you can bend over and take that, or you can start showing that we're not doing that anymore. We're not that guy anymore, because at the same time, yeah. Like, I don't care if Eddie Nketiah stays if we sign another striker. The only worry that I have of Eddie Nketiah staying is if Eddie Nketiah stays and we don't sign a striker. If we want 30 million for Eddie Nketiah, I swear, down to me, and we signed Osimhen, for example, and we've asked for 30 million. No, we don't want less than 30 million. I'd rather keep him than take less than 30 million, because I think that Arsenal need to actually start showing that we'd rather keep him then. You ain't got your player. You didn't want us to pay the 3 million extra. We don't roll like that anymore, because I think you have to become serious. And Arsenal fans have zero composure. Like, I went mad about it yesterday. Arsenal fans have no composure. Every time a bit of news comes on the Twitter and that, this club, we don't know anything. We don't know that there ain't a team offering a bit more, like, in principle, like over the phone to us for Eddie. Like, you don't know that there's someone saying, look, there's a Premier League team saying, listen, we want Eddie. We're willing to pay 30 million, but we just got to wait to sell this, and this, going for him. You don't know this sort of things. We turned down the money. Now, that could, if we don't sell him, it's going to be the end of the world for Arsenal fans if we don't end up selling him.
Oh, it's going to be a meltdown central.
Mate, it's going to be a meltdown.
Meltdown central.
But I don't think we just turn that down without a thing of knowing what we're doing, Arsenal. I don't think they do. And I don't want them to accept. Like, I want us to change, because we lose money on players so many times. Like, our record signing, I think, is now, I think it might actually be Smith Rowe now, or it's Balogun last season. That's our record.
Yeah, but Giuseppe, what value? How much would you say he's worth then?
Eddie Nketiah, 30 million euros, easy. I'm telling you now,
25 million pounds, and they've offered you 27 million. You said no?
Euros,
yeah.
Yeah, euros.
Not far off, man. Eddie's meaty, man.
Yeah.
Eddie's meaty. Like the guy that was actually quality coming up with Saka has actually gone to Fulham now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know, but what I'm trying to say is, you see Eddie Nketiah, yeah. First of all, I actually think that he's not as meaty as everyone makes out he is. He's not good enough for Arsenal Football Club. He's not that level, yeah. You put him in the French league, he bags 15 goals in the French league. I generally believe he bags 15 goals in the French league, easy, yeah, for a team like Marseille. Now, a striker market is the striker market. He's an English guy coming from an English striker market. I know they don't have the English tax. 30 million euros is not a lot to be asking for this guy, in my opinion. I don't think that's a like, when we were asking for 50 million, like when we come out and said we want 50 million euros, that's a joke. I agree that there's no way on earth he's worth that. But 30 million euros, bro, for a striker, it is what it is. Strikers are more expensive.
Do you think it's a dangerous game? Do you think it's a dangerous game that you're playing a bit? Yeah. Because let's say Marseille walk away now, and then you don't get any offers in the Prem, like for what you're asking for. And then now towards the end, another team comes and just says, yeah, here's 15 million. And then before you know it, Arsenal are just accepting about 15 million less. Has that crossed your mind that could potentially happen?
I don't think that will happen, because I think Arsenal, one, want to change their transfer policy of selling players and not taking crappy deals from people and just for the thing. And second of all, we've got to remember we're looking from it as a fan point of view. 15 million, just take it, just get Eddie out of this club. The club probably don't look at Eddie in the same way as we do. Yeah, they're probably not. They're probably like, if we don't get it, we're not desperate to sell this guy.
Well, that element I do agree with. When they posted the other day, one of the big channels posted posted sort of how much money has been raised through selling players in the last decade. I think Chelsea were top on like 1.3 billion, City were on like 1.1 billion, and like Man United were like mid-table and like 400 million. Arsenal weren't that far ahead of us on sort of 450 million. And this is where I get annoyed. We're talking Arsenal specifically right now, so I'll speak about the negative Arsenal fans. The same people I saw say, look how crap we are at selling our players. Look how much more Chelsea have raised $1 billion more than us in the last year. We're awful. Are the same lane brains who go, just accept 10 million for Eddie. But your logic of just selling for whatever is the reason why you've only raised 400 million in sales or whatever it may be in the last decade. And I said this on Straight Facts on Friday, and I'm saying it on Straight Facts again now. Those people that say things like that, unless they've got big YouTube channels where they're making money, right? Then I believe they're saying it for attention to make money by now, because then they can't be that dumb with the level of education we get now as football fans. I genuinely believe some of these people are doing it for sexual release. I believe they get a no, I do. I believe they get a sexual release from the hate they get for writing nonsense. I think they sit there going, oh, look at all the people that I've triggered. And I think they get out their very special wet sock and they have a little bit of, they play with their platypus because
I didn't expect to hear that. I said sexual release.
No, I think it has to be. But I kind of get, if you're someone that's like, do you know what? I've got a YouTube channel, or I'm a Twitch streamer, or I'm a TikToker. TikTokers are the ones because they earn money. Some TikTokers earn stupid money. I kind of get why you would say things you don't really mean. 1 minute you're saying we've got to sell players for more money. The next minute you're kicking off that you're not selling a player you don't like. I kind of get why, if you're a TikToker, you would say that for the attention and the views it gives you. But if you've got barely any, you're not making, if it's on Twitter and you're not making any money, right? Because the blue thing on Twitter doesn't really make anyone any money unless you're, I don't know, someone who's got tens of millions of followers. I sort of look at it and think to myself, it can only be sexual release from the endorphins you get through triggering people. That's the only reason you're writing nonsense like that, in my opinion. I think it's a sexual fantasy thing.
You know what I think it is as well with them? There's a lot of people on Twitter that want, what is the right word, traction? They want replies in their things. They want people to go back and forth with stuff. They want comments on their stuff. Makes them feel a bit more appreciated, maybe in just life. You don't get that when you don't normally get that much when you put a positive message out. When you put a negative, you get a lot of people that are like, well, this guy's chatting absolute crap. So you get more, I feel like, people comment on it. It's the only thing that makes sense, because that's what winds me up so much about the Arsenal fans. And I kind of get why rivals are onto Arsenal fans all the time. And as I'd like to say, I'd like to say a level-headed Arsenal fan, it winds me up because I've almost got us all the time go on shows and answer for these guys. I've got sometimes talk and answer for these fans on Twitter that chat absolute nonsense about like, why aren't we signing players yet? West Ham have signed 2 players. And I said to them, I was talking to a few of the boys in the chat, even like a few of the boys that do YouTube and that, they're the same about these transfers and that. And I said, well, hold on. Yeah. If it was up to you guys, we would have paid 10 million extra for Calafiori just to get it done a week earlier, because you're like, just pay him the money, A week later goes by. A week later goes by. We signed him for 10 million less than everyone thought we had to pay for him, and we've only had to wait a week. I said, this is why you don't run football clubs, mate, because you'd run them into the ground. I said, as long as you get the players, and that's why I don't stress over the transfer window until the transfer window closes. Definitely Arsenal right now, because I feel like people are like, yeah, but we need players that need time to integrate into the team. I don't see that when you've got when you're already a decent, solid team. I don't think that's as much a thing. Like, even if we sign players, they don't need to necessarily play the first couple games. We've got a team that's been enough together, are good enough to do the first few games and be all right. And they can maybe, some players just come straight in and fit in like Declan Rice and that. when it's like a Man United with what you're doing now, I get getting them in early, giving them more of a pre-season with the club, integrating them in, because you're kind of signing players that you kind of need straight away.
But even then,
there's
there's a comment I starred. Sorry to interrupt you. There's a comment I started right at the start of the show. It says, Terry, based on your financial waffle, United has money, but are moving like they don't. I didn't say that we had a bottomless pit of money. I did say that I thought we'd spend more than £100 million, and we're pretty close to that. But it's not like we're moving like we have no money. Man United have overpaid and undersold for 11 years. And although I see some United fans, and I do get it, let's just get Ugarte now. Let's get the lit. We've had a few injuries. We need to get them in. We need to ensure that we are still getting them at a sensible and a fair price, because we have to start building up the respect we have when we walk into these dressing rooms. All these elements are part of running successful football clubs. And this idea that it's just spend what's ever necessary, it will work. But that's what Man United did for 11 years. And look where we ended up. You have to conduct yourself in a manner that yields respect. And I would say in the past 20 years, Arsenal and Man United have lost that respect. And I think Arsenal are building themselves back up to it. But like I said before, I genuinely believe that the majority of these fans are saying this. It's either fake outrage to make money or fake outrage for attention. And then whatever they want the attention, you know, whether it's, you know, just to make themselves feel better, whether it's sexual release, it's got to be one of these things, because you can't speak out to both sides of your mouth like that and there not be an ulterior motive.
In this day and age, they don't, like, people seem to want to stop critical thinking. Any little bit of critical thinking where you're thinking about these things and, you know, thinking about the business side of the game, they don't want to hear it, bro. They don't want to hear it. They think football's just all black and white. You know what I'm trying to say? So,
well, I think United fans that have moaned about Man United fans have moaned about the Glazers for years, and then are like, "No, guys, we've got to go out and buy these players now." Yes, we have to go and get them. I agree. It's become a little bit more pressing, but having that pressing nature where we then just succumb to the people we're negotiating with and give them whatever they want will lead to us bending over backwards for more people in the future. There's almost part of me this summer, as much as I want these signings, if we end up walking, like we did with Branthwaite, if we end up walking away and not signing someone will go, can't believe we're starting the season with this player, with McTominay instead of signing Ugarte. I want Ugarte, but I don't want to overpay or not get a deal that we are very happy with or comfortable with. Because if that's the precedent that's set, in the medium to long term, we're always going to fall short. Because if you overbuy and you undersell, you will always run out of money before you can complete your project. Like anything, unless you've got a bottomless pit of money, which no football club has, because there's regulations of how much you can lose and how much you can spend, and that's getting even tighter. It's like most normal people in life. There's only if you go out and went to Tesco's and paid over the odds, I'm going to pay you more than these are worth, and you went into your job and said, you know what, pay me less than I'm owed. See how long that lasts until you fucking lose everything, you morons. I'm
Terry,
just sick and tired of this stupid way of thinking.
Terry, and the thing, exactly, everything that you've said is common sense, bro. It's so simple what you've said, right? But then you have a lot of people in your fan base that are going to start saying, look at this guy, Ineos lover, because you understand what's going on. And that's what you get in the Chelsea fan base as well. When you explain certain things, the business side of things, it's you're a Clear Lake lover. You just want to slob up Clear Lake. And I'm like, bro, yeah. I can just think like how they're thinking in terms of the business side of the game. People forget there's a business, right? And you want your club to not be in the red zone, bro. You know what I'm trying to say? So you can actually go and spend money.
Yeah, people forget about pride as well. Like, I know pride isn't always the greatest thing. Like, pride can get you in situations. But, like, even as a club, yeah, your pride, like, sometimes you've got to take a bit of an L to save your pride, bruv. Like, why am I... Yeah, cool, we didn't get the player because we didn't want to get treated like mugs because we're Manchester United or because we're Arsenal, because they mugged us off. Because if it was another team, they'd accept 20 million less. So, out of pride of myself and to show that you ain't treating us like this anymore, we're going to have to take this one small L, which in the long run, people won't see it, will actually benefit. And that's what I'm saying with the Eddie and Nketiah thing. That's what I am saying. As long as we, all right, cool. If we get to the end of the transfer window and we don't sign anyone and we keep Eddie, that will kind of annoy me a bit. But if we signed a striker still and kept Eddie because that offer didn't come in, I'm actually happy with that, personally.
What do you make of what Sean says here, Giuseppe, from an Arsenal point of view?
I agree. Well, this is the problem. Yeah, what people think is, in my opinion, people just think it's, yeah, we've agreed the fee and that's it. Just pay the fee. Well, hold on. The fee may even have been somewhat agreed, but that doesn't mean the structure of payment is agreed. And that's where you also don't realize, like Arsenal might say, yeah, we'll pay the 30 million, but to help our financial state so we can sign more players, we want to pay it over 4 years. Where they're saying, no, well, we want half now and half next season. And that's sometimes where the stalling kind of happens. And the thing is, people just are so needing it to be done and see them in the shirt. Like,
but there's also another business side to it. I mean, the player, I believe, is still on holiday until tomorrow. So you almost don't want to. Let's say, for instance, Ornstein and Fabrizio know it's done. We know that the world's changed now. You get the here we goes and the Ornstein bombs now before the clubs do the official announcement. But why would you want the announcement while the player's away and you can't do nothing with it? You almost want the announcement to come when the player is ready to be unveiled to the world so that you can financially benefit from it. And do you know what's really interesting about all these standard FC mugs? Is they all hold Man City to a very high standard. And they speak about how City are the sort of the benchmark for where we all want to get from an English perspective. And let's just ignore any potential guilt on their side for a moment. They are a very well-run football club. Let's just live in a world where they've done nothing wrong. And most of Standard FC, by the way, don't think they've done anything wrong. So let's just abide with that. All these things we're asking our club to do is what City's done to become successful. But yet they don't want to see their club do it. And that's why, for me, I look at this. And I remember once, I don't know who said this to me once. I was having this conversation, and it was something that a Man United, I think it might have been Ollie, said something. And I said, but Ollie's only saying what great managers in the past have said. And he said something. It was on a stream. It might have been. It could have been. I don't know who it was. I'm not going to even name who it was. And they basically went, yeah, but he's not Sir Alex. He's not Pep. He's not this and that. So he shouldn't be speaking like that. I went, hang on, but you have high standards. But now you're saying a manager that hasn't achieved those high standards yet shouldn't behave with those high standards. I get so confused by the hypocrisy of football fans sometimes. It goes back into it again. I think they just want to be able to moan. They just want to be able to complain. And they never look beyond the end of their nose. They never think about the bigger picture. And by the way, there are certain things to criticize at times. There's no doubt about it. But Arsenal summer, I just don't believe it's one to criticize. And it doesn't feel like the last two summers for them because there's been 2 international tournaments. And 2 of the players that you've signed were at that international tournament as an example. I would argue that, yes, that you could have probably got, if Gyorekes is your guy, then you should bring him in. But what you might actually find in the truth of it is that Šeško is your number 1 choice, followed by Nico Williams. You haven't got either of those 2. So therefore, you're still doing scouting and you're weighing up your options. Is the 3rd or 4th choice genuinely good enough to move us up a level? It's fair to assess that. I think it's fair to look at it. And also, you've got to sell players. You have to balance the books in the modern day game. Because imagine you don't and you win the league, but you get a 5-point deduction and lose it. Those same melts who moan about it and go, but why didn't we sell players for more money? They would ignore the fact that the club was following your stupid instructions. So, yeah, 100%.
Even on that about the Gyorekes or Osimhen or whatever sort of signing, we don't know anything. This is what I tell people, fans, we don't know anything. Like, how do we know that Gyorekes hasn't said, I only want Arsenal? He spoke to Arteta and that on the phone. His agent spoke to Arteta. He only wants you guys. He's waiting for you guys. And we're like, cool. Well, they want a release clause right now. So let's let the window run down a bit, because then they'll start lowering their price. They'll start going, oh, well, look, no one's coming in for him. He don't want to go anywhere else, but we've got to sell him, really. We need some money in that. It's like the Osimhen stuff. If someone went and signed him at the start of the window, they only wanted their release clause. Now, all of a sudden, it's lowering and lowering and lowering because people don't want him. So this is the sort of thing you have to do.
No, I totally agree. I want to go to some of these super chats. By the way, people, hit the like button if you've not done so already. Give that a go. Plus, check out StocksFC. I've got a really big tip for you when it comes to StocksFC as well. So if you've already signed up, we'll go through that a little bit later, but go and get yourself signed up to an account right now. Amazing platform for investing in the players that you think are going to deliver. Let's go through some of these here. This one says, Mr. Don, someone said you have been on queef lately. On queef? What the fuck is queef? I don't even know what that is.
Queef is like a fanny fart, but I don't know what that means.
What's Don been doing?
What did he say? What happened?
He said you're on queef, bro.
I'm on what?
You've been out here queefing. I don't know.
I'm just trying to get me a bottle of water. I don't know what's going on, Donna. Big yourself up, bro.
Mr. Giuseppe, have you had your pizza and pasta today? Very, very offensive there.
Yeah, no, listen, mate. No, I had fajitas today.
I actually went out for an Italian today. I had some beautiful chicken wings, and then I had an amazing pizza, and then I had a couple of shots of limoncello, whatever it's called.
Limoncello, yeah.
Oh,
Limoncello.
I do,
Yeah.
I do love a bit of Italian food. Italian food's great. Do you
You
know
speak
what? It's actually is Giuseppe Italian?
No, can you speak Italian?
Oh, speak
Yeah,
Italian.
yeah. I don't do this again. I've been getting roasted.
Yeah, no,
because of that.
yeah. Can you say hello? My name is Giuseppe. I support Arsenal, and I love visiting Rome in Italian, please.
Yeah. Ciao a tutti, mi chiamo Giuseppe. Mi piace Arsenale. What's the best way to say it? Tanto,
I mean,
tanto.
yeah, but I say we can't judge. We don't know.
Yeah, no, this is the thing. This is when people say stuff in Italian. Like I remember testing it when someone said like, "Oh, say something in Italian," and I just went like, "Bole dale bole giliardo," and then they were like, "Oh, cool, what's that?" And I said nothing. I just mumbled some random noises, and they all believed it. But no, like yeah, so that was Italian, but I speak Sicilian. It's a different dialect to Italian.
Yeah, your family are from where the gangsters be at.
So my dad's from Sicily. That's where we got a house, and that is in Sicily.
Can I ask a question? And I didn't mean to sound offensive. Like in Sicily, is that the mafia still like a big thing there?
It's still a thing there, but it's not a big thing now. They're low key now. They're still there though. They're still there. Even like funny enough, even like probably about 7 years ago now, my nan's next door neighbor got arrested because he was letting Mafia hold meetings in his house.
Wow, that's so cool.
And then, yeah.
You know what? Hollywood has actually ruined it, right? Where like I almost feel like this love for the Mafia for no real reason, but it's stupid. It's all because of Hollywood and TV and
there's not. Yeah, there's. Nowadays in Italy, it's not like Sicily. It's not the same. Back in the day, they used to the Mafia ran Sicily. They had the police in their pocket and everything. Now it's not like that. And my other side, my mum's side's from Napoli, so Naples. So yeah, so I'm from Italy and Sicily. But yeah, so it's lovely out there.
So you couldn't become a made man because you're not 100% Sicilian. Basically.
I don't know.
I remember, probably not. Again, I'm only going by what I saw in the films, brother. I don't know. Whatever Scorsese said went on.
My dad's actually got friends. My dad's actually got friends in the Mafia. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if you like myself, I grew up in the East End of London. My grandfather's generation, everybody knew somebody that was involved in one way, shape, or form with the craze. Yeah. If they were from like that generation, like my grandfather wasn't. He was a sort of just a well-to-do guy, but people knew someone who knew someone because it was essentially if you're doing anything that was most people were in some capacity in that era. That if that makes sense, so I'm not surprised. It's been cool.
Even like not that long ago. But when I say not that long ago, I'm talking like 30. It was probably about 35 years ago or something. My granddad's best mate got killed by the Mafia. Got killed. He owed them money in Sicily. He owed them money. He was driving home. Little quick story. Driving home, and there was just a tree, like a big log in the middle of the road. So he stopped the car. As soon as he stopped the car, tap on the window, double barrel shotgun, shot him in the face. He had his wife and his child in the car with him. And they just walked off. Yeah, my granddad's best mate. And they didn't touch the kid. They didn't touch the woman. They just killed him and walked off. I think he was trying to get away from them. He owed them money and stuff. So they're not like this. I mean, they're not good people, bro. Like people.
No. I think it's because I think it's like anything. No, I think it's one of those things where TV can give you a very false impression of what the Mafia. Even like when you watch things like Top Boy, I've seen some people watching goes, you know what, that life looks quite fun. That's TV, that's drama. That's not really what it's like, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you
lot have seen that guy in the back of the Uber, bro. Telling my man drive, bro. You don't want that life, trust me. You don't want that.
Listen, I didn't like our uncle got a lot of stick for that because until you're in that, not people on Twitter, I'm like, bro, if you were in that situation, your mind. I love that he put his indicators on still. That was a bit that made me. He didn't just pull away. indicators. But you never know what you're gonna do in that kind of environment. My dad was a taxi
It's
driver.
the way he's literally just analyzing the situation and just watching them attacking him. And he's
No,
like,
the funniest bit, he was driving slow. What do I do? What do I do? As soon as he got given a cash,
money,
he's gone. He's gone.
Where we got? So where we got?
Man turned into Nigel Mansell, rally driver, was on his way.
That happened in Raynham, not too far.
Yeah, it was Essex. It wasn't even East London. People say it's London. Essex. Yeah, Essex. Yeah. Big up Novak Djokovic for winning Olympic gold. How many other tennis athletes have competed in the Golden Slam? My friend passed away from cancer. I'm really sorry to hear that, my friend. Wanted to update you, Terry. August 23rd is going to suck. I'm very, very sorry about the passing of a friend, Chike. Genuinely, I am. Excuse me. And always sorry to hear that. And yeah, Djokovic just again confirming why he's one of the greatest athletes to ever play sport. I'm not even talking about tennis. I'm saying in general, one of the goats of sport. Mr. Flewers, you missed my super chats. No, we put them up. Am I drinking alone tonight? Mr. Flewers never drinks alone. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
Who is this Donna person? Who is Donna, man? Big up Donna.
It's actually a bloke. It's a man.
Of course.
Donna got my number. Donna got my number somehow.
Mr. Giuseppe, your smile is the best on YouTube.
I got a text and it was like, "Oh, hi, it's Donna." I was like, "What?" I was like, "What the hell?"
Love it. I don't mind us playing hardball on our players as long as we have, as we have been poor for selling for years. That is an area we need to improve, but we should be quicker at getting players in. Where's Moreno? Come on now. But I say he's on holiday until sort of tomorrow, so it kind of is what it is. So even if you'd have signed him a week ago, he wouldn't have been training. As an Arsenal fan from the US, objectively watching the Chelsea team is like watching the MLS All-Stars team be assembled. No identity or style of play, but lots of talented individuals.
This is what I keep telling people, bro. It's a very good squad, but it's not a very good team as of yet. You know what I'm saying? I think people get the two mixed up. You know what I'm saying? You can have a good squad, but it's all about putting it together to make a good team.
Well, I get you there, brother, 100%. I don't think I heard Dahl call out his owner for spending about £1 billion on children. Make sure you cook him, Terry, when they don't cook this year. I mean, bro, if Chelsea do bad, he's definitely going to get stick on the terrace. It's the way the cookie crumbles, brother. So it happened, Paul. If they're really good, they'll also get praised. We're very unbiased on the football terrace. It's the way we roll.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of Arsenal, I want to put up this comment that I read today. Josh Kroenke is privately confident that Arsenal can give Man City an even better run for their money this season than the previous two campaigns. Now, giving them a better run for their money, essentially, I'm reading between the lines here, suggests winning the league title. I'm going to go to Don first on this. Do you think Arsenal are ready to take City's title away from them this season?
Boy, right now, Arsenal haven't... I mean, obviously, you've signed Calafiori in it, but then last season, your defense was good. Like, what, are you going to concede only 4 goals this season? You know what I'm trying to say? As much as you're going to keep the ball out the other side of the net, you need to score more goals. And that's something Arsenal at the beginning of the season, it wasn't fluid, you know. A lot of the time, you're getting bailed out from your set pieces or moments of brilliance. Overall, throughout the season, ideally, you want to be a little bit more fluid. And ideally, you want someone like a striker, like what you're saying, Giuseppe, to bury a lot of these chances that you're going to be creating. So at the minute, as it stands, Terry, it's hard to say, man, because I haven't really, there hasn't been that signing as of yet where I'm like, yeah, Arsenal are the favourites now. That's why I said if they get Osimhen, then I'll look at them a little bit differently. I'm like, okay, I reckon Arsenal will probably be the favourites at the minute. But at the minute, I'd probably still say City, man. I'd probably still say City. I can't lie. Arsenal need to still make some moves.
Fair enough. Listen, for me, Arsenal will never, until Arsenal win the Premier League, and even then there could be a different shout, but like you can't be the favourites to win the league with Man City and Pep Guardiola in the league. I don't think that's, how can you be when they've won the last 4 and they've still got the players they've got and the manager they're always going to be favourites going into the league, right? If we win the league this year, maybe next year you'll say, listen, Arsenal are favourites, but as of right now, I think we will win the league personally. I just feel and it might be naive because I thought like people said the same about the 4-peat. I just think that you're going to have a team that have come. Last year the year before last we bottled it. Last year we went right to the last day of the season and we felt that heartache, of going to the final game and not winning it. The quality of the players we got, adding a year of experience onto them already. The signings will hopefully be bringing in, and the signing we already got in Calafiori. By the way, if we sign Moreno and Calafiori, I know we still need a striker and stuff and attacker 100%, but our two weakest positions last year, you would argue, were the 8 and the left back position. They were probably our two weakest positions, and you've now signed two players that fit them positions. I think that Man City now might not have the same drive that we will have, and that's why I think we'll pull ahead and we'll win the season. I'm really talking with chest right now, and I don't know if it's going to bite me in the ass, but listen, what's the worst case? You guys are going to banter me, regardless if we win or if we lose the league, regardless of how much chest I had. I feel like you guys would be bantering me anyway. I think we don't only win the league next year, I actually think we comfortably win the league next year. I think we don't win it. I think we win it before the last game of the season.
Giuseppe, the thing is, people were saying this last year about City. They were like, they won the 3-peat now. Maybe they're going to lose that motivation. No one's done a 4-peat before. They've gone and done it. Listen, no one's done a 5-peat before, bro.
I hear it.
One thing
my argument to that one thing, my only rebuttal to it, which is, it could be true, it could not be true, but it's my only rebuttal to it, is Man United have done a 3-peat. So therefore, there is more on a 4-peat because you want to be the only club to have ever done that. They've now beaten Manchester United and got the 4-peat. Now they're just battling themselves. Yeah. And of course, you would rather get another one. No one's going to not want that. But there's not going to be maybe that same drive of we got to do this because then we get even further ahead of Manchester United and that, in the sense of, not further ahead because they're not ahead of as a club of Man United. I don't think they'll ever be able to generate enough to get past Man United, but to close some gaps, to give them some stuff over Manchester United. Now it's just battling with themselves. And I think that might not have the same amount of, you also got a team of guys that have won so much. Yeah. That you've got that experience up, but you also got the side of the lapsidaisicalness of it. They've also got Rodri that they've had consistency for like the past 3 years without missing like a game or something for injury. I'm not saying he's going to get injured. You never know. You can't count that for a reason to win the league. But I just think that these guys might have a drop off this year, having just won. Last year, they had a drop off. They did. They just managed to not have the drop off in the league. Yeah, they had the drop off, and they did have the drop off in the league really at points. Arsenal just didn't capitalize on it last year. They dropped off in the cup competitions. Yeah, they dropped off in the Champions League. Yeah, they dropped off. They didn't win the FA Cup in the end because they dropped off, because their minds were like, I'm not going to say Man United didn't deserve to win, but you could see the one time where it was like, yeah, this don't look like Manchester City that are hungry for it. So I think that's the one thing I'll say for Man City. And I think next year they might look more towards doing the Champions League. That might be more of their focus. Definitely the new format of the Champions League, which is going to change a lot of people. A lot of us has actually forgot about that, myself included. I forgot about this new format of the Champions League and how that may affect teams, right? Because normally for an Arsenal, for an example, when the Champions League starts up, you've normally got 3 all right, one maybe decent team and 2 like meh teams. Now your first 4 games can be something like Barcelona, Bayern Munich, PSG, and like someone like Leipzig or something. Yeah, they could be your first 4 games because of the new way the system is. So I think that could be even a challenge in itself. But listen, I just think that Arsenal are going to have more to go for it. I think Declan Rice has now had a season in the team with the signings we're making.
I agree.
I just think we'll have what it takes to win the league this year. I think Arteta as well. People will remember. People don't want to forget that Arteta is a young manager. He learns every season. He has proven to me. It's why I don't care for people saying Arteta right and that. I don't agree with it. He's shown me that he learns every single season. The
thing is, I've got a few question marks about your attack, right? More than your defense. I think your defense is the best in the league, isn't it? Do you know what I'm saying? It's the best in the league, right? But in terms of your attack, obviously we know Saka puts up numbers. Like Saka getting numbers is inevitable. But last year we saw that his injuries even were becoming more and more frequent. And from the sounds of things, it sounded like he played majority of the season with injuries, and there's only so long that he's going to keep playing. There's certain times where he's not going to be fit enough to play, right? So the question is Saka going to replicate the same sort of season that he had in terms of the numbers? Because most of Arsenal's play comes from the right-hand side, bro. If you go look at the left in comparison to the right, it's mainly on the right. Martinelli, he's got to have a redemption season as well, because the season before last, he had a very good year. Is Havertz going to replicate the sort of form that you saw as well? So I've still got a few question marks about Arsenal's attack. I think for me, Arsenal are a very well-oiled machine. So you're over 90 minutes. I feel like you've got so many different ways of scoring. You've got a Trossard, who's a game changer. You've got Saliba, Gabriel that can score set pieces. Calafiori now as well. There's so many avenues where I'm looking at it and I'm like, yeah, they can get a goal from somewhere. But over 90 minutes, bro, if you're not being as fluid as what you were towards the end of the season and you haven't got a striker, maybe it will be the attack that lets you down rather than the defense.
Yeah, listen, listen, the defense ain't going to let us down, in my opinion. I think we've got the best defense in the league, and we've added fury to it. And if we bring Moreno in, we've added defensively to our team once again in the midfield a bit. But I agree, we need an attacker. That's why I think we need a striker. That I've said that personally. That's why I think if we there's no doubt if we bring in a striker, I don't have a doubt in us winning the league. Honestly, I really don't. I think if we sign that striker, we win the league. The thing is,
that's why I put you lot as favourites if you get Osimhen, bro.
is Saka, the fall off from Saka, I don't think will happen. Every season he's become better. Yeah, in my opinion, and he'll continue to do so. He's just that sort of player. And you got to remember last season, one thing that I also sometimes have to take into consideration as well is how bad the season Martinelli had and how injury-riddled season Jesus had, and that made him bad last season. So this is two players that went from getting us a few goals the season before to actually doing nothing for us last season. Now, if these two, if our team plays like they did last season with the goals and that we scored, but them two start actually performing and adding goals to the game as well, then that might be the bits and pieces you need in certain games. A Gabriel Martinelli, a Gabriel Jesus. But I 100% think we need a striker or a winger, 100%.
Yeah, I've said for a few weeks now, if City sign no one else from this point and you bring in Moreno and you bring in a really good striker, I would make you the marginal favourites. So City, of course, still can win the league. I wouldn't write them off completely. That would be stupid. But I think you would have a chance. Sean here says, we were lopsided in our attack last season. This year, with our left-hand side being upgraded, will be more dangerous. Striker would be the cherry on top. And then Manny says, personally, if we lose any team outside of the top six, we don't win the league. And depending on who we bring in the window, Alvarez and Nico.
Oh, you want Nico Jackson, do you?
Another team that are looking at a striker for serious money. What was your boys' thoughts on Spurs maybe having to spend £65 million on the ex-Chelsea and Liverpool man Solanke?
I think it'll be a brilliant signing, Terry. I don't know why Solanke gets all this, people look at him and they laugh because of the name. Really, when in reality, last season, he got 19 Premier League goals he scored last year? And start of the season, Bournemouth were not good. Bournemouth were one of the teams that I was looking at and saying, yeah, if you go over there, you're guaranteed 3 points. That's why I was pissed when we drew them, In terms of his finishing, he's good in front of goal. He can link up play. He's good on the ball as well. Physical, So it'll be a no-brainer for Spurs. I think he'll be better than what they've got right now up top in it, because they've got Richarlison at the minute. Son up top, might be a better finisher than Solanke, but Solanke is going to score you goals as well. So I think it'll be a brilliant signing, man, because he's someone I'll take at Chelsea again right now. He's one of the few in the market that actually have Premier League experience and score goals. So yeah, I think it'll be a good signing, man.
I think he's all right. I think he's a good signing for Spurs. I think if Arsenal signed him, I'd be a little bit disappointed in him being the striker that we signed.
19 Premier League goals, Giuseppe.
19 Premier League goals last season. Okay, cool. But the season before that, he had 6 or 7. And I'm not trying to say that as a thing of whatever, he's not going to do it again because didn't do it the year before that. But there's them side of things. He's also never played in a low block against a low block. This is something that we sometimes never look at with certain strikers and that. in when we look at these lower teams like Bournemouth and that. Who the hell low blocks against Bournemouth? Whereas everyone low blocks against Arsenal. So if we signed him or Tottenham, maybe he won't be as good. But I do think he's a good player, and I think he could replicate that at Spurs. 100% there's a chance. And I think for Spurs, he's a great player. 60 million, 65 million. That might be a bit expensive for him. But the striker market is what it is. But when you're hearing links to like Osimhen for like 70 million and stuff, 75 million, you think like surely there's a level above, like to ask for 65 million, like Osimhen and that are a level above him in my opinion. But he has Premier League proven in that, and I think he's kind of perfect for Spurs as well. So for Spurs, I think he's a great signing, and I think like he's probably one of the best options that they can get. To be honest, I think it will be him or Tony. I'd be more, as I said before, I think I said it to Tell, I'd be more fearful of them signing Tony than Solanke. Even though for some reason no one's going for Tony, that's a whole different thing. But I'd be more fearful for that. So yeah, listen, it will be a good signing for them. It's kind of what they need.
Wait, hold on. I just see Kate's comment. She said, big up Kate as well. She said Solanke is a one season wonder. He's definitely not a one season wonder. He bagged so many goals on the way for them to come back up from the championship as well. Coming through the ranks, him and Tammy used to clear over 40 goals between them. You know, he's a goal scorer. That's one thing about him. He's a goal scorer. I know it's not the Osimhens and the big names under the lights and that, but Solanke will score you goals. He's better than what you've got up top right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily call him a one season wonder. What I would say is I wonder how he handles the pressure of going back to a big club, because the other two times at big clubs, that's more whether or not he can handle being the spotlight on him, because no one expected what he did last year. And sometimes it's easier to flourish when the spotlight is not when you're a backup dancer. You know, it's easy to sit in the back and stay in time because no one's actually looking at you. But suddenly you're the main guy at the front, the spotlight's on you, and that pressure can sometimes take it back. But I think it's a good signing. 65 million is quite a lot of money, but I do think it's a pretty decent signing. This year says Don has questions about Arsenal's attack, but refuses to see Arsenal score more goals year after year under Arteta, but he has questions.
But his questions are right, by the way. As an Arsenal fan, to answer this, Don questioning it is correct, because I will, as an Arsenal fan, also question them same things. It's not, you can't just be content because you scored more goals last season. Because once again, I love to tell Arsenal fans, I love to remind Arsenal fans this, because I love the banter we can have in that, but sometimes you got to look at it as real. There was a period of last season, I say it all the time, from January to the first couple months of the year, where we were pumping teams like 6-0, 5-0 week after week. That made our goals go rocket up. So it kind of like is that papered over a few little cracks that we had, because before that period we were struggling to score, and arguably the period before where we were struggling to score was the reason we didn't win the Premier League. The Christmas period, we didn't win again. We lost to West Ham because we couldn't score goals. We lost to Aston Villa because we couldn't score the goals. We lost to Fulham because we didn't score the goals. But then people want to go, yeah, but how can you question Arsenal's attack when we scored all these goals? Oh, because we didn't win the league. That's why you can question it.
And the thing is, I've specifically even flagged Saka because he's the most efficient attacker that you've got. But we know that he Arsenal fans use this every single time. Oh, he's limping because he's got an injury. But now we can't flag it as a point of concern, because really and truly, like you're saying, Giuseppe, you should be getting a winger that can come in and rotate with Saka and keep the team fit. Everyone knows about Pep Roulette. Pep manages his team well and rotates his team well. Arteta's got a lot of trust issues with a lot of his players, unfortunately. You know what I'm trying to say? So this is where you're at. This is where you're at. I'm going to question these things. Martinelli, I think it's fair enough for me to question if he can come back again, because he was poor last season. I don't see the problem in that. Havertz, can he escalate to another level? I'm asking these questions. Like, why can't I ask these questions?
And I'm reading what these people are saying in the thing. Get a backbone, that it weren't papering over shit. Well, it is, because I'm being honest to everyone in the thing. If Arsenal had Osimhen or Arsenal had Gyorekes last season, Arsenal win the Premier League. It's as simple as that. In my opinion, Arsenal win the league if we had a striker last year that would score goals. If we had Haaland in our team last year, we win the league. if we had Ollie Watkins in our team last year, we win the league. I generally believe that because once again, it don't mean that we need them to compete for the league, but there's games where you need a guy that's going to get one chance and score the goal. When we drew with Man City at the Etihad, we had a chance near the end of the game and we didn't score it. Yeah. You have Osimhen on the pitch, running up the pitch with Martinelli when he's breaking. Yeah. You probably score a goal there and you actually you win that game against Man City. Like, this is what people don't get. You need someone that when a team's doing a low block and you're struggling to break them down, out of nothing, bang, he gets a goal. Goal. You need that sometimes. Like, I'm not saying it's the be all end all of the team, but I believe you need that in your team or that option to have.
I get that. Manny here says swap deal Eddie Nketiah for Jackson, and it's a deal, Don.
Impossible. Impossible. I love Manny, love.
on some of the Man United deals, it looks like now the main three targets from this point for us is going to be Ugarte, Ligt, and Mazwari. Do you think that's enough for us to start the season? Do you think that's going to give United a good enough foundation to start to improve this campaign and become a better footballing team?
Yeah, I think you sign in 3 players, and I think I'd argue you've had near enough a 10 out of 10 window, to be honest, because
based on where we were, yeah,
based on where you were, because I just think that you can't. Sometimes it's not good to like blow your load in the first season and just sign everyone, because you kind of need to adapt people, and then next year you can find what you actually need to add to these players, and maybe this guy didn't work or this. So I think you've actually done pretty well with your signings. I think if you sign Ugarte, the fullback, and Ligt, that's perfect. Obviously, Euro's injured, but he's going to be coming back in. You've got Highland, you've got players that are going to improve as well. They've got another year. I think that's great. The only thing I would say is, I will ask you this, Tel, as well. Would you rather Ugarte or Zubimendi for Manchester United? Yeah. Because I just look at it and say, maybe that's the one area, because I like Ugarte and I think he'll be a good signing for Manchester United regardless. But I just think that Zubimendi could be.
Yeah, I think we need multiple midfielders, plural. But then, look, listen, I'm not gonna. Like I've said, if it was up to me, I would go Zubimendi first, Ugarte second, if we had to only buy one this summer, because I want better quality on the ball. But the thinking could be, objectively thinking, the process could be we want to become a really hard team to break down and beat next year. That's why we're buying 2 centre-backs, a new full-back, someone who's a real shield and someone who breaks up play and wins possession back. Maybe that's the mindset based on that we can't sign. I don't really want to be signing 7, 8, 9, 10 players. I don't think it works. I think you've got to 5 to 6 max is really where you get to. So I'm never going to judge this rebuild in the first summer and in the first season in its entirety, because it was always going to take 2 or 3 years. But I'm quite happy. You know, there are some certain players I would have liked to have come in instead of others, but overall, I'm quite excited. And, you know, we did okay in preseason, a couple of results that weren't great. There were some moments, but even like yesterday, with some United fans going, I'm so scared about the start of the season when you look at our team today. I'm like, bro, we've got 7 first-teamers back in training at Carrington that start in that game. And I believe if we played last night against Liverpool with the same intensity, the same quality, but we had Delo and Shaw and Lissandro, Bruno, Mainu, Xerxes, Garnacho, either starting or coming from the bench, we'd have probably scored some goals, and we created 18 opportunities to score against them, you know. And I'm relaxed with where I think we'll be next year. Right now, do you think that this is going to be a make or break here for Mount's time at United? I'm seeing that there's quite a lot of discourse. For Mount, yes, I think Mount has got to show that he can be impactful, that he can deliver, that he can help us win games. I think he's got to do it this year. Berardo is very forthright in his career thus far of players get 2 years to prove themselves. Now, you could argue he gets 2 years from now because it's the new world, but none of us know where Berardo and co are counting that 2 years from. I think he has a season to prove himself, because there's been times in preseason where I've been quite impressed, and there's been other times where I've gone, he looks completely ineffective. But then I also look at it and go, but there's no, like yesterday, there was no number 9 ahead of him. He's got Casemiro and Collier behind him in midfield that probably won't be the starting midfield if we get all of our players in. So you have to sometimes be fair that he's not quite yet playing with everybody that he would be. But Mount has got to step up this year. There's no doubt about it. He has got to step up. He's also got to avoid injuries. And I know that some say you can't help it, but if he has a year where he's out injured again, that for me is, I think that playing badly or being injured, same thing. You've got to go. If he doesn't deliver this year, we've got to find a way of moving him on. And we've got to start being harsh with players and non-sentimental. 2 years tops to prove you're good enough, or you're progressing in the right direction if you're young, and he ain't that young, and then he's got to move on. Yeah, it's a big year for Mason Mount to prove that he's not just about being Man United quality, that he's good enough to help teams challenge for Premier League titles and Champions League, because that's where we want to be. And, we've got chances to win trophies next year. I'm really confident our football's going to be more progressive, more attacking, better on the eye. Then we're going to be harder to beat as well. But yeah, players like him have absolutely got to step up in my view, completely.
No, facts. He needs to, man. He needs to. And listen, going back to last summer, it's crazy because I said I honestly thought he would have a better time at United than Havertz at Arsenal. And Havertz is clear of him, bro. Clear of him in terms of coming in, getting the numbers. Obviously, he was shit in midfield. Let's just be honest about it. But up top, where they said we misprofiled him, that's his best position, and he actually played a lot better than a lot of the star players in that final running. You know what I'm saying? So he definitely needs to step up, man. That's where him and his dad call home. So let's see if it's actually home for you.
I agree. This here says this chat, if we have players back, we would score more is BS. Apply that same logic with Liverpool squad as well then. See where you're at. See where you are.
Liverpool basically have everyone back right now. Apart from obviously Van Dijk and Trent. That's it. Everyone else is back.
The thing is as well, it's like, I get an extent of that point, but it doesn't really make any sense because what you're saying is Man United and Liverpool, one are in the same position as a club, and they're really not. Like in the sense of like their squad has been so much more. Like they had so many more sort of first teamers than first squad players than Manchester United. Manchester United are playing youngsters that have never played in the system. Also with Man United, I know it shouldn't always be a thing, but you don't know, like mentality wise, the players right now, how they're like maybe a bit worried playing, man. They've just watched like two of their players get injured in the previous game and that. Like sometimes players are a bit hesitant to put in certain level of performances pre-season because they're scared of that. Like they've just watched Euro go out for. I know that shouldn't really be a thing. It might not be a thing, but you've also got to look at that side of things. But that comment was bullshit in my opinion. Sorry.
Lang and Sweet here, big up, bro. He says, I hear you guys say before, why hasn't City signed anyone? We don't need to sign others other than cover for Rodri. City will be better this season. We were crap last year. And Chike says, Terry, Giuseppe, Don, did you watch any game shows growing up? And what are the popular game shows in the UK and Italy since my dream job is a game show host?
Hella, man. Hella. I used to watch Total Wipeout. Total Wipeout was one. I used to love that show. Are we talking about game shows, yeah?
Catchphrase. Do you watch Catchphrase?
Yeah. But taking it back to like primary school days. Remember Bamzuki? Remember that game Bamzuki? That show Bamzuki. Do you remember it, Giuseppe?
I do remember that.
Yeah. With used to make the things, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there
was one called Raven as well.
Weakest Link was good. I liked Weakest Link.
Yeah.
Weakest Link, Deal or No Deal, I suppose, was a good one.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one I used to like when I was a kid, right? It was Bruce Forsyth used to do it. He used to play your cards right. We used to guess the cards going up and down. Another great one when I was a kid was called Bob Monkhouse. It wasn't Family Fortunes. Oh, what was it called? I've got to search now. Bob Monkhouse.
Trying to think of more now.
Game shows. Yeah, this one where it was about married couples or families. What was it called? It wasn't Family Fortunes. It wasn't Full House. Oh, what was it called?
You know what show I loved as well, Terry? Yeah. Remember Fear Factor? Fear Factor was one of my favorite ones, man.
Yeah, he had a wedding game show. Oh, what was it called?
Who wants to be
Bob? It was called Bob. It was called Bob's Your Uncle. Bob's Your Uncle, and it was like couples would come on in their wedding stuff they got married in, and then take part in a game show. Yeah, it was called Bob's Your Uncle. That was an amazing game show. I don't think they're as good as they used to be game shows, but yeah, they're amazing. And yeah, good luck to you in your dream, my friend. Look, I want to thank everybody that has tuned into the show tonight. Always a pleasure to sit here on Sundays and speak. Football actually comes back by this time next week. You know, well, it's Community Shield on Saturday, but I always feel like that's a nice curtain raiser for the season. Everybody starts getting a little bit excited and whatnot. Don, Giuseppe, always a pleasure. To my super chatters, you're amazing. To everybody else, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.
Boys, my dinner just got here.